Chapter 2: History of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Before we begin our examination of the Emerald Tablets, we must first address the question as to why there are so few certainties regarding ancient writings and texts. Most ancient texts are written on animal skins, papyrus, or other perishable items. Very few writings are found on stone or baked tablets, and even those can be damaged or lost. Stone inscriptions depend on someone keeping them safe from the scrap pile of changing generations. Even fewer writings appear on precious metals. Perishable tablets have always been susceptible to the weather and time. I should add that there are literally tens of thousands of untranslated stones in cuneiform not released in Iran and Iraq today. Who knows what messages translators will unveil in the distant future? Inscriptions in precious metals, because of their value and rarity, are almost invariably the property and creation of kings and upper royalty and personalities. Oftentimes their contents speak only to the greatness of their owners, and they are in tombs, as subsequent owners have melted all others down through history. Yet this brings us to discuss the difference and the constituency of the precious metal used in the creation of the 10 Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and the single emerald tablet of Hermes Trismegistus. I want to avoid confusion, but suffice it to say at this point that Thoth and Hermes are the same, but for now I will describe how each came to be associated with their specific creations of emerald. In doing so, we will learn who they are and how important they are to our study. Thoth ruled Egypt at a time that far outpaces our present understanding of precisely how old Egyptian civilization is. Ruling Egypt for 16,000 years, from 50,000 to 36,000 BC, Thoth became the highest of highest masters, the highest of highest priests of ancient Atlantis, trained by his own father, the master of masters of pre-Diluvian Atlantis. This ruling occurred after the floods that devoured the ancient civilization. Thoth ascended to Earth, where he led the development of a new civilization in the northeast corner of Upper Africa, also named Kim or Egypt. According to Dr. Doriel's translations of the tablets, there are a total of 15 emeralds. At first he says the tablets number 10 on the first page of his preface, but later he says they number 12 on page 2 of his preface. Finally, his translation ends by saying 15 tablets exist. The emerald tablets of the Atlantean Thoth laid hidden and buried under the Great Pyramid of Giza for centuries. The date of their concealment is unknown, but we do know it was sometime after Thoth left his earthly kingship over the Egyptians. Even now, under the Great Pyramid of Giza lies an undiscovered place of otherworldly appearance, and the access to a realm referred to as the Great Halls of Amenti. For generation upon generation after the earthly departure of Thoth, specially appointed priests of Thoth performed as guardians to the hiding place of his domain. Around 12,000 BC, priests removed these tablets from Egypt and carried them throughout the world to all former Atlantean colonies. The further away from Egypt the priests traveled, the more new civilizations experienced religious renaissances. Finally, the priests left the tablets buried in an unmarked temple, perhaps under the Pyramid of Pakal the Great of the Mayans in Central America, where Thoth became known as Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan. How did the emerald tablets find their way into the possession of the American spiritualist Maurice Doreal. It wasn't too long after Doreal's providential survival from the trenches of World War I that he had a revelation from Thoth. The god told him how to find the ancient Mayan pyramid housing the tablets, and two instructed him to recover the tablets for a modern translation. J.R.R. Tolkien speaks of a similar experience after his experiences in the trenches that led to his vision for Lord of the Rings. Out of chaos comes order, says Thoth. To this dictum, both Doreal and Tolkien would agree. Doreal completed his translations of the Emerald Tablets in 1925. The tablets appear to be written in the ancient language of the Atlanteans, but Thoth gave Doreal the inspiration and guidance to complete the translation without outside assistance, much as God revealed his words to the prophets of the Old Testament. Thoth gave Doreal permission to retain a copy of his translations after making the arduous journey and delivering the tablets to the doorway of the halls of Amenti. We can imagine Doreal taking a transport ship across the Atlantic in the mid-1920s, bound for Egypt, while concealing the glistening emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. How he must have slipped surreptitiously into the pyramid complex under the cover of darkness, directed by the presence of Thoth to the hidden entrance. This entrance lay undisturbed for over 3,300 years since the guardian priests had left behind their temples for the mission of Thoth. Now, 3,300 years later, a new believer finds entry into the most secret of secret places, returning the gift to the ancient ones. When Doreal departed with his back to the pyramids, Thoth sealed the entryway, which is still unknown by any living person today. Doreal arranged the 10 tablets into 13 chapters, and then supplemented the original 13 with 2 more, bringing their count to 15. These original tablets consist of a material of transmuted emerald, meaning that as such they exist in a state that is unalterable, undamaged, and unchanged. In this regard, they refute the law of ionization that requires all metals to change in relation to the constant alterations of positive and negative protons. Doreal was able to determine and establish their ancient consistency and durability as they remain hidden for hundreds of thousands of years. The shimmering emerald gleams with the symbols of the ancient Atlantean language, containing characters that respond to attuned thought waves, releasing the associated mental vibration in the mind of the reader. The tablets fastened together with hoops of golden colored alloys suspended from a rod of the same material. These most ancient tablets are the ones formed by Thoth, the god of wisdom and knowledge, and written for the spiritual enlightenment of all who will respond and receive a rarefied form of consciousness as a gift from the god himself. Thoth was a god king of Egypt for thousands of years, but when he decided to return to the halls of Amenti, he built the Great Pyramid of Egypt, serving a twofold function. First, to safeguard the emerald tablets, and secondly, to serve as the hidden entrance to the halls of Amenti. Thoth says that beneath the Great Pyramid stands the doorway to the underworld where the Master of Masters dwells. We will learn more about the halls of Amenti shortly. Upon leaving Egypt for an interlude of rest, Thoth entrusted his pyramid priests to keep the doorway and the tablets hidden until otherwise instructed. The tablets they were assigned to protect are the same tablets that in modern time Maurice Doreal discovered in 1925 at the instruction of Thoth. Until then, they stayed hidden for thousands of years. As I mentioned, around 1200 BC, there was such unrest in Egypt, as well as throughout the entire civilized world, that Thoth worried for the safety of the tablets. Yet he saw an opportunity to spread the logos of the tablets to Atlantean colonies throughout others, reaching far, wide places. Recently, a new book has become popular detailing this great collapse of civilizations, ending what historians have labeled as the Bronze Age. 1177 BC, the year civilization collapsed, by Eric Klein, is a thorough examination of Egypt and surrounding kingdoms. From this chaos, Thoth followed his commissioned priests, and during the next 1,000 years, his teachings manifested through him and equally through the Greek god Hermes. Both together and separate, they epitomized the ideas of knowledge and wisdom, among lesser attributes. There is a difference of opinion regarding how Hermes appears with the nomer, the thrice great. However, from this tradition evolves a body of literature called the Hermetic Corpus. In addition to teaching knowledge, wisdom, and immortality, it also provides instruction in alchemy, astrology, and magic. Out of this tradition, there emerges by the 5th century AD a single emerald tablet with 14 sayings. This is referred to in literature from ancient times up to the present. Literature credits these teachings to Thoth and Hermes, as they are the same. Translating this tablet has proven to be challenging, as translators no longer have access to the original, which disappeared in the 1st millennium AD. What remain were various translations by high-ranking priests and scholars within the Hermetic tradition. Therefore, modern translations are often the translations of translations. Keep in mind, all references to the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus refer to a single tablet made of emerald with the same impenetrable consistency as the original emerald tablets. I think this might be confusing for some, therefore it will be important to illustrate the brevity of the teachings on the single tablet of Hermes. For several millennia, there have been a historical and academic appreciation for the single tablet of Hermes. The Hermes text, written in Thoth's Atlantean language, and modern images and representations of the emerald tablets often show one tablet signifying the Hermes tablet. The original and expanded multiple tablet version is the focus of this book. Our focus is on the emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, translated by Dr. Michael Doriel in 1925. Also, the Brotherhood of the White Temple, the Institute of Ancient Studies founded by Dr. Doriel, is still functioning today, and they have copies of Dr. Doriel's translation. Now, let me provide you with the complete translation of the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus, used by scholars since the Egyptian dispersion until modern times, all on one page. The following translation comes from Sir Isaac Newton. 1. 'Tis true without error, certain and most true. 2. That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below, to do the miracles of one only thing. 3. And as all things have been arose from one by the meditation of one, so all things have their birth from this one thing by adaptation. 4. The sun is its father, the moon its mother, the wind hath carried it in its belly, and the earth is its nurse. 5. The Father of all perfection in the whole world is here. 6. Its force or power is entire if it be converted into earth. 7. Separate thou the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross, sweetly with great industry. 8. It ascends from the earth to the heaven, and again it descends to the earth and receives the force of things superior and inferior. 9. By this means you shall have the glory of the whole world. 10. And thereby all obscurity shall fly from you. 11. Its force is above all force, for it vanquishes every subtle thing and penetrates every solid thing. 12. So was the world created. 13. From this are and do come admirable adaptations, whereof the means or process is here in this. Hence I am called Hermes Trismegistus, having the 3 parts of the philosophy of the whole world. 14. That which I have said of the operation of the sun is accomplished and ended. You can do further research on Newton's commentaries on your own. The words of the single tablet are valuable in their own right, but differ radically from the tablets translated by Doriel in 1925, which occupy about 90 pages in standard verse form, which is quite a difference. We will now look briefly at some references to space travel, alien encounters, and other such narratives of historical figures in order to provide context. Egyptian texts. Certain hieroglyphic texts state that one chapter of the Book of the Master of Hidden Places was still in existence during the reign of Hesepti about 4266 BC. Egyptologists deemed it as the most ancient documentation of any kind known in the world. Consequently, the Book of the Dead is known as the first secret manual of initiation. Among its teachings are the descriptions of procedures and passwords that have 2 specific levels of meaning, one spiritual and the other physical. The hidden places mentioned in the aforementioned book are in reference to underground chambers at the Giza complex, halls of Amenti. The Book of the Dead carries some unusual narratives, with a curious reference to those who live among the stars. Another passage mentions a specific knowledge that enables those in its possession to reach the vault out of the sky. The writers of the Bible and ancient Sumer. Thoth had many names over the eons. In Sumeria he was Ningishzida, son of Enki. Ancient Sumerians' clay cylinder seals the record of 2 special emissaries clothed like birds with wings for garments. And the fragments of some Chaldean tablets found in 1870 inscribed the Babylonian legend of creation, wherein the first column of what is called Kutha, the Kutha tablet, a description was given of 7 particular human beings with the faces of ravens that came and instructed the local inhabitants with new knowledge. Without the Great Pyramid and the mysterious Book of the Dead by Thoth, there would be no Bible today, simply because the very essence of the hidden information evolved at the Great Pyramid. Old Testament prophet Ezra's secret message, decoded by Sir Francis Bacon, revealed that the king's temple was the famous temple of Solomon, The Hall of Pillars in Solomon's temple consisted of 7 columns, a symbol taken from their earlier description of a hall of pillars in the Book of the Dead. Solomon's temple was full of symbols to hide the fact that Ezra was talking secretly about a real temple at Giza. The Book of the Dead recorded that the god Thoth was designer and builder of the Great Pyramid. These words were carved into stone at the very dawn of civilization on planet Earth. Elements of that same story also appear in pyramid texts that date to around 2450 BC and presented in a context that suggested their ancient age. Jesus is a special subject that we will focus upon on more than once throughout the book. The flight into Egypt is a biblical event described in Matthew chapter 2, verse 13 to 23. The Magi learned that King Herod intended to murder the infants within that area, and soon after Joseph saw an angel in a dream which told him to flee Egypt with Mary and his infant son, Jesus. The Great Pyramid of Egypt has been and still is a temple of initiation into the great mysteries. Gnostic texts, such as the first Apocalypse of James, were likely banned because of their different understanding of Jesus' importance. They understood Jesus much more in terms of being a revealer of human wisdom, explains Brent Landau, a religious studies lecturer at the University of Texas in Austin, who presented findings at the Society of Biblical Literature annual meeting in Boston, November 2017. Many believe the Emerald Tablets of Thoth are the source material for the teachings of Jesus in the New Testament. If you read the Apocrypha text, you will find out that Jesus was a student of the Egyptian mysteries and he taught reincarnation and meditation. I know this to be true because on my last trip to Cairo, I visited the Coptic church where Jesus and his mother lived while there. They lived under the church in the basement. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD omitted that information from the canonized Bible. I have included photos that I took in May 2014 of the living place of Jesus and his mother in Egypt. It is still kept as a memory until now. This biblical story of the birth of Jesus is about the sun and planetary alignments. A real person named Yeshua, Jesus, is actually Thoth or the son of Thoth, in my personal opinion. More recently, the biggest discovery is a writing called the Gospel of Jesus' Wife. Yes, he was married and had children. His bloodline still walks the earth to this very day. Behind me are photos that I took in May 2014 of the living place of Jesus and his mother in Egypt. A well-known story in the East recounts that Jesus was a student of the mystery schools, and upon leaving there he traveled to Tibet and India, where he learned energetic healing and meditation. The Queen of Sheba. According to D.J. Conway in Crystal Enchantment, the Queen of Sheba knew about the Emerald Tablet of Thoth. The Queen of Sheba is a figure first mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. She introduced Solomon to the great mines of Africa, including extensive emerald mines. Their story has been elaborated and expanded over the years by many Jewish, Islamic, and Ethiopian cultures, and has become one of the most popular legends in the ancient Near East. Pythagoras. Followers of Pythagoras accepted as law any decisions communicated by him and honored him as an emissary from Zeus. Pythagoras is famous for his teaching of the transmigration of souls, which states that every soul is immortal and upon death enters into a new body, reincarnation. He is also credited with developing Musica Universalis, which states that the planets move according to mathematical equations and thus resonate to produce an inaudible symphony of music. Pythagoras' philosophies of the solar system profoundly influenced Plato, Alexander of Tyana, Copernicus, and Sir Isaac Newton. In the ancient world, there was widespread belief in the existence of exalted knowledge, that it was accessible only to initiated persons, knowledge that by definition conveyed a sense of awe. The fundamental nature of their illuminated teaching deals with a transcendental realm. The nature of their illuminated teaching, the great teachers of history, such as Socrates, Pythagoras, Aristotle, Virgil, Homer, Apollonius of Tyana, were all initiates in the ancient sacred mysteries. They knew the secret knowledge. Other initiates included Plato, Plutarch, Celsius, Clement of Alexandria, Plotinus, Porphyry, and on, making an almost inexhaustible list. Both Plotinus and Plato explained the divine visions of the mysteries as a secret science sought by many, but known only to a few. Ancient Egyptian priests often referred to a secret science only known to them. So formidable was its power, they taught it to no one who had not been firstly prepared, tested, and accepted. Manetho, and early church fathers. Manetho was an Egyptian priest who lived during the early 3rd century BC and authored The History of Egypt, a significant source detailing Egypt's ancient rulers. According to Manetho, Thoth wrote 36,525 books. An ancient Egyptian story tells how the Book of Thoth first appeared. According to Thoth himself, the book contains secrets as to how many humans may perceive the gods. Such knowledge was not available to the average human, and subsequently hidden from humankind for hundreds of years at a time. It was dangerous to attempt to use the book without Thoth's permission. On one such occasion, safeguarded by serpents, sealed in a golden box, and hidden at the bottom of the Nile River, Prince Neferkaptah recovered it. Thoth's wrath was quick and unyielding as he drove the prince to suicide and wiped out his entire family. For centuries, the book lay hidden in Neferkaptah's tomb. The Book of Thoth lay hidden for 1,000 years until uncovered by the chief priest of Memphis in the 11th century BC. This special priest was extremely interested in magic, alchemy, and other ancient manuscripts of wisdom. How he discovered the ancient prince's tomb is unknown, but upon finding it, the Book of Thoth revealed itself. Kamwiset was not the only chief priest, but he was also the crown prince of Ramses the Great, but died before he was able to assume the throne. Upon attempting to interpret the ancient book, the ghost of Neferkaptah appears to humiliate him before Ramses, pressuring the crown prince to return the book to the tomb and seal it away until Thoth decides upon its future use by humanity. Titus Flavius Clemens of the 2nd century AD is the early church's primary source to the understanding of the ancient Egyptian manuscripts. Prior to becoming a Christian, Clemens was the greatest author of his time. He excelled in translating ancient texts from Egypt and Greece. He confirms in his book, The Miscellanies, that the teachings of the ancients, including the Book of Thoth and that of Hermes Trismegistus, whom we know was Thoth incarnate, heavily influences Christianity. In manuscript fragments such as the Hypotheses, Clemens detailed late in his life and his esoteric understanding of some facets of the ascension of man. In addition, he seems to reflect the seventh tablet found in Doriel's translation of the Emerald Tablets. Clemens teaches that the universe unfolds as the face of God, followed by 7 lords who are higher than all other gods, demigods, angels, or humans. Clemens warned future scholars of Christianity that only the most capable of humans could be trusted with these mysteries. The significance of this fact increases when we understand that Clemens' pupils in bulk become the church fathers of Christianity. Saint Thomas Aquinas. The Book of Causes, written by Saint Thomas Aquinas in the 13th century AD, translates the Hermetic Emerald Tablet from a 9th century AD unknown Arabian source, which Aquinas is able to prove was taken from Proclus' Elements of Theology sometime in the 5th century AD. All things are part of a single continuous emanation of power from the One. Thomas of Aquinas was a Catholic priest and doctor of the Church, whose works would influence most great thinkers from the Middle Ages up to present times. Sir Isaac Newton, one of the most influential scientists of all time, Sir Isaac Newton was an English mathematician, theologian, astronomer, author, and physicist. He was known as a key player who revolutionized science. His book, Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, which was published in 1687, was paramount in laying the foundations of classical mechanics. Newton's Principia formulated the laws of motion and universal gravitation that dominated scientists' view of the physical universe for the next 3 centuries. Newton removed the last doubts of the validity of the heliocentric model of the solar system and demonstrated that the motions of objects on Earth and of celestial bodies rest on the same principles. Philip of Tripoli translated the Hermetic Emerald Tablet in the 13th century AD. Originally, Philip had translated the lost Greek manuscript, the Secret Book of Secrets. This is important because the lost manuscript supposedly came from Aristotle as a treatise on life to his most famous pupil, Alexander the Great, in 330 BC. Philip spent decades of his life poring over the Secret Book of Secrets contents to reveal not only the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, but also other ancient Egyptian and Greek teachings regarding the secret of wisdom as taught by Thoth the Atlantean. His abridged version was available to readers of the High Middle Ages and became the most sought-after text in the Western world. Inherent in his teachings, Roger Bacon found the truth of wisdom and life as are fundamental to the wisdom of Thoth. Roger Bacon is one of the earliest European advocates of the modern scientific method inspired by Aristotle. Bacon's major work, the Opus Majus, was sent to Pope Clement IV in Rome in 1267 upon the Pope's request. Thus, because of the high-level acceptance of his works, the ideologies of the Hermetic Emerald Tablet filtered voluminously throughout the halls of Europe's intelligentsia. Sir Francis Bacon. Sir Francis believed he had discovered the true extent of subterranean chambers below the sands of the Pyramid Plateau at Giza. The number 7 was the most important number in religious literature, and that may have originated with a mysterious layout in the Book of Thoth. The hidden knowledge in Thoth's book reveals itself in later chapters and involves another work of Bacon's, The Wisdom of the Ancients. That book, published in 1619, was an allegorical interpretation of hidden truths contained in ancient myths. Sir Francis Bacon learned many truths from his initiation into the Knights Templar and coded much of his understanding using the cipher 33. Bacon's favorite cipher system he called the capital initial code. That code spells out the following: Temple of Solomon, hidden under pyramid. He also found in 33 consecutive letters the words Jesus Christ, initiation, Great Pyramid. Professor Carl Jung, Swiss psychiatrist and psychotherapist named Carl Gustav Jung, who founded analytical psychology, took inspiration from the Emerald Tablets to write a book called 7 Sermons to the Dead. The Emerald Tablet is the only piece of non-Greek Hermetica to attract worldwide attention because it preaches a person how to set their level of consciousness to a new degree. Jung was a pupil of Sigmund Freud, but soon broke away from his teacher's philosophies. Instead, Jung devoted much research to the development and intricacies of human consciousness. Jung's most famous study was of the collective unconscious, a term he coined. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus believed that Khufu, aka Cheops, enslaved his people to build his pyramid. Keep in mind that the proposed method of building pyramid was by using mud ramps. The only problem was this theory is the mass of the ramps needed would actually be far greater than the mass of the pyramid itself. This is why we need to pay close attention to the Emerald Tablets, because this 36,000-year-old text states that Thoth built the Great Pyramid, which would backdate the age of the pyramid considerably. Once you go back in time 2 full precessional periods of the equinox, you then arrive at a time when the Sphinx aligns with the constellation Leo. Now the apparent weathering of the Sphinx and its erosion makes sense. You can further explore this research by reading Graham Hancock's The Mystery of the Sphinx. The geologist Robert Schoch has done an incredible amount of research and inspection of the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. His work has been the focal point of several documentaries which underline the significance of his arguments, which establish the age of the pyramids to be much older than modern Egyptologists are willing to accept. One of the biggest falsehoods about the Aztecs and Mayans is that they were responsible for building the city and pyramids at Teotihuacan and Chichen Itza, as well as the surrounding areas. My trip to Teotihuacan in October 2016 confirmed this when my archaeologist guide said that neither the Mayans nor the Aztecs founded or built Teotihuacan. The city complex was already there when they arrived. They merely inherited what they attributed to being the buildings, temples, and pyramids of the gods. Once you begin to research the historical timeline of settlements and trade in that region, you start to see how our understanding of the architecture is severely misguided. Teotihuacan's builders remain an absolute mystery. The empire of the Aztecs began almost 1,000 years after Teotihuacan had become desolate. The Nahuatl-speaking Aztecs gave the city its name, meaning the city of the gods. Some believe this city flourished between 1000 BC and 550 AD. The main cities of the Mayan, who were much more ancient, 2600 BC, were 700 to 1,000 miles away and would have had little reason to interact with another culture over mountains and treacherous jungles. Compare these timelines with Egyptian timelines. Archaeologists believe that the advanced design of Teotihuacan suggests that ancient builders had knowledge not only of architecture but also of complex mathematical and astronomical sciences. The layout of the three main pyramids in Teotihuacan resemble a modern-day circuit board with processors, and the underground channels that link the pyramids are full of electrical insulators. Two large processor chips can be seen as the Sun Pyramid and the Moon Pyramid. This city was clearly a large electrical device. Although this level of detail is unique to Teotihuacan and many other details come into clearer focus from the sky, researchers have also found numerous and remarkable similarities to the Great Pyramids of Egypt. We know that the placement of these ancient monuments was not random, but positioned according to mathematical, geometrical, and geographical influence. Is it possible that in the city layout of Teotihuacan, a hidden pyramid code is waiting for exposure? Hundreds of unknown metal objects lay buried there, and the pyramid complex aligns with the Orion Belt, just like the pyramids at Giza, as well as those in China. The base of the Pyramid of the Sun is the same size as the base at the Great Pyramid in Egypt. The height of the Pyramid of the Sun is exactly 50% of the height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, with both standing on top of aquifers. EYEAM, standing at the base of the Pyramid of Kukulkan, aka Quetzalcoatl, aka Thoth, at Chichen Itza in the Yucatan Peninsula. Here are some interesting facts. Latitude of the Pyramid of Kukulkan. Okay, it says 20 degrees, 40, 58.44 north. Now multiply 20 times 40 times 58.44 equals 46752. This pyramid is a precise calendar. It has 91 steps on each of 4 sides, plus platform on top. 4 times 91 plus 1 equals 365. The calendar connection is also confirmed by the pyramid's orientation marking equinoxes and solstices. The pyramid has 4 sides with 4 staircases dividing each side into 2 sections, in total 8 sections. Using these numbers, an accurate value for 1 year equal to 365.25, the pyramid number will perfectly relate its latitude 365.25 times 4 times 4 times 8 equals 46752. I am standing in front of El Caracol, which is an ancient observatory built by Kukulkan, aka Thoth, and used much later by the Mayans. You can clearly see the resemblance of what we call a modern observatory. The official date of the construction, given as 600 AD, is most likely incorrect. The structure probably dates back much farther in time. El Caracol aligns with the motions of Venus. The Maya assigned Venus remarkable significance. This bright planet stands in as the sun's twin and also serves as a god of war. Mayan leaders scheduled suitable times for their raids according to the position of Venus as it drifted through the heavens. The position of Venus was so important that the Maya built El Caracol, the grand staircase of El Caracol, to perfectly match Venus's most motherly position in the sky. The staircase faces 27.5 degrees north of west, which is out of line with all the other buildings at the site. Additionally, the other buildings form a diagonal at the northeast and southwest corners, which aligns with the winter solstice sunset and the summer solstice sunset. Providing this kind of detailed information that is not easily found is why they call me Forbidden Knowledge. And there are some pictures here. Lord Pakal, the Rocket Man from the past. This image clearly resembles, with its modern day rocket interior, an exact match with the image that was revealed by archaeologist Alberto Ruiz Lullier in 1952. Today, scholars recognize that globally advanced civilizations did exist in the ancient past. The Atlanteans were already building pyramids and temples around the world. Pakal the Great's marvelous city of pyramids flourished in the 7th century AD and still stands as one of the greatest civilizations of the Americas. After the conquest of the Central and South American civilizations by the Spaniards, the cities were abandoned and the treasures of the temples forgotten. Water and emeralds. Physicists have managed to dissolve water in an emerald. It shouldn't be possible. Several Russian research teams and other teams from European countries, along with scientists from MIPT, confined water molecules within nanocages in a beryl crystal and documented the phenomenon of molecular dipoles becoming ordered. In solid state physics, the notion of ferroelectricity refers to the property of a material whose electric dipole moments, while cooling, align themselves in an ordered pattern. Our team has succeeded in placing molecules under the conditions, allowing us to obtain the first ever reliable observations of the alignment of molecular dipoles of water. The electric fields generated by nano-confined water could play a vital role in various phenomena studied in biology, chemistry, geology, and meteorology. or even in the formation of the planets of our solar system. In fact, many computer calculations and simulations do predict the alignment of water molecular dipoles, provided that hydrogen bonds are somehow diverted to target the artificially introduced surfaces or cavities such as modern nanotubes or two-dimensional metal substrates. The Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology have published a result of their work in Nature Communications. D'Oriel's preface. D'Oriel's preface needs recalling before we look at the actual text of the Emerald Tablets. Written in 1925, the preface outlines for students of the tablets his philosophy and how he approaches the translation and care of the tablets. D'Oriel writes, "In the following pages I will reveal some of the mysteries which as yet have only been touched upon lightly either by myself or other teachers or students of truth. Man, searching for understanding of the laws which regulate his life, has been unending, yet always just beyond the veil which shields the higher planes from material man's vision. The truth has existed, ready to be assimilated by those who enlarge their vision by turning inward, not outward, in their search. In the silence of material senses lies the key to the unveiling of wisdom. He who talks does not know. He who knows does not talk. The highest knowledge is unutterable, for it exists as an entity in lanes which transcends all matter, words, or symbols. All symbols are but keys to doors leading to truths, and many times the door is not open because the key seems so great that the things which are beyond it are not visible. If we can understand that all keys are material symbols, if we can understand that all keys, all material symbols are manifestations, are but extensions of a great law and truth, we will begin to develop the vision which will enable us to penetrate beyond the veil. All things in all universes move according to law, and the law which regulates the movement of the planets is no more immutable than the law which regulates the material expressions of man. One of the greatest of all cosmic laws is that which is responsible for the formation of man as a material being. The great aim of the mystery schools of all ages has been to reveal the workings of the law, which connect man the material and man the spiritual. The connecting link between the material man and the spiritual man is the intellectual man, for the mind partakes of both the material and immaterial qualities. The aspirant for higher knowledge must develop the intellectual side of his nature and so strengthen his or her will that it is able to concentrate all powers of his being on and in the plane he desires. The great search for light, love, and life only begins on the material plane. Carried to its ultimate, its final goal is complete oneness with the universal consciousness. The foundation in the material is the first step. Then comes the higher goal of spiritual attainment. In the following pages, I will give an interpretation of the Emerald Tablets and their secret, hidden, and esoteric meanings. Concealed in the words of Thoth are many meanings that do not appear on the surface. Light of knowledge brought to bear upon the tablets will open many new fields for thought. Read and be wise, but only if the light of your own consciousness awakens the deep-seated understanding which is an inherent quality of the soul. Wow, deep. The translator of the Emerald Tablets, who was connected with the Great White Lodge, worked his way through the pyramid priesthood, was given instruction to recover and return the ancient tablets to the Great Pyramid. The quote below comes from the preface and introduction of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, translated by Michael Doriel. This, after adventures which need not be detailed here, was accomplished. Before returning them, he was permitted to translate and retain a copy of the wisdom engraved on the tablets. This was done in 1925, and only now has permission been given for part to be published. It is expected that many will scoff, yet the true student will read between the lines and gain wisdom. If the light is in you, the light which is engraved in these tablets will respond. Now, a word as to the material aspect of the tablets. They consist of 12 tablets of emerald green, formed from a substance created through alchemical transmutation. Transmutation is the changing of one element into another by radioactive decay, nuclear bombardment, or similar processes. They are imperishable, resistant to all elements and substances. In effect, the atomic and cellular structure is fixed, no change ever taking place. In this respect, they violate the material law of ionization. Upon them are engraved characters in the ancient Atlantean language, characters which respond to attuned thought waves, releasing the associated mental vibration in the mind of the reader. The tablets are fastened together with hoops of golden-colored alloy suspended from a rod of the same material. So much for the material appearance. The wisdom contained therein is the foundation of the ancient mysteries, and for the seeds with open eyes and mind, his wisdom shall be increased 100-fold.